Imagine wanting something so intensely that the universe whispers back, "You already did this, just not here yet." What if the desire pulling at you isn't a craving, but a memory leaking from your future self? And what if the reason you can't stop thinking about it is because it's already happening in another timeline? You're not obsessed, you're remembering. You're not chasing, you're sinking. You're not manifesting from nothing, you're walking toward what has already been claimed by the version of you that lives ahead. There's a strange kind of ache that lives in people today, deep, quiet, and almost impossible to name. You feel it when you're alone in your car at a red light. You feel it when you scroll past other people's lives online, wondering why your own desires seem to hover just out of reach. It's this invisible pressure, this pull towards something you know is meant for you, yet for some reason it stays blurry, like a dream you can't fully recall. Maybe you've noticed how it shows up at inconvenient moments. Like when you try to focus on your job, but your mind keeps drifting toward a life you haven't lived yet. Or when you wake up in the morning with an unexplainable heaviness, wondering why you feel behind even though you're trying so hard to keep up. It's frustrating. Irritating. Sometimes even painful. You tell yourself to be grateful, and yet gratitude doesn't erase the quiet truth, you want more. But here's the part people rarely admit, it's not just wanting. It's longing. Longing for a version of yourself that seems so close, yet somehow out of reach. Longing for a life that feels familiar even though you haven't touched it. Longing for possibilities that hit your chest with the force of something you can't rationalize. It's like your soul is tugging at your shirt, saying, "We're supposed to be over there." And in the middle of this longing, there's another conflict. The world tells you to be realistic. To calm down. To shrink your dreams into something that fits inside other people's expectations. So you try to silence these desires. You tell yourself you're being dramatic. You pretend you don't care as much as you do. You downplay the visions that come to you in flashes, images of another lifestyle, another identity, another expression of who you truly are. But suppressing it doesn't make it go away. It only makes the pressure grow louder. You might even notice how it affects your body. The stiffness in your chest. The restless energy in your hands. The tightness behind your eyes when you think about the life you want but can't seem to reach. And then there's the emotional exhaustion, that tired, drained feeling that comes from constantly wrestling with your own potential. You're suspended between two worlds, the life you're living right now, and the life that keeps tapping you on the shoulder from somewhere ahead. Most people assume this tension comes from failure or lack of discipline. But what if it comes from something completely different? Something more powerful, more mysterious, and far more intentional? What if the real problem isn't that your desire is far away, but that your current self hasn't caught up with the version of you that already has it? And deep down, you feel that. You sense that something is trying to get your attention. A message. A signal. A pull from the future that refuses to be ignored. You feel almost haunted by your own potential, not as a threat, but as a reminder. Because even though you can't explain it, you know this truth. You are meant for more, and somewhere in the timeline of your existence, that more is already real. It started on a rainy afternoon, the kind where the sky feels heavy and the streets reflect every flicker of light like molten silver. I was wandering through a tiny second-hand bookstore, searching for nothing, when a phrase caught my eye on a spine: "Time is not linear, it is a web of possibilities." At first, I brushed it off. A poetic metaphor, I thought. But then, over the next few weeks, that phrase began to echo in my mind, not as a mere sentence, but as a question, a challenge. Could it be that my constant yearning, the restless ache in my chest, wasn't a failure of willpower or circumstance? Could it be a whisper from a future version of myself? I began experimenting. I read everything about quantum physics, the studies about superposition and entanglement. And even more about consciousness and the subtle energy fields that supposedly connect all things. And the more I learned, the more one idea became impossible to ignore. Our future selves are not fiction. They are real, vibrating possibilities, radiating energy back into our present moment. To test it, I tried a small experiment. Every morning, I would sit quietly, close my eyes, and imagine a scene where my deepest desire had already come true. Not a vague idea, but a full sensory experience, what it smelled like, what it sounded like, how it felt in my skin. I imagined the gratitude, the joy, even the small inconveniences of having that reality fully formed. At first, it felt awkward. My mind kept jumping back to doubts, this isn't real. You're wasting time. But then something strange began to happen. Tiny coincidences appeared, the exact book I needed would show up at the library, an unexpected text would arrive at precisely the right moment, even conversations would shift in ways that felt guided rather than random. I realized something profound. When I tuned into the energy of my future self, I wasn't just dreaming. I was communicating. The quantum field, the invisible lattice connecting all versions of ourselves, was responding. Every thought, every emotion, every clear intention acted like a signal, aligning the present with what had already occurred in another branch of possibility. And it wasn't just theory. I could feel it physically. There was a lightness in my chest, a subtle vibration, a knowing that seemed to whisper, "You're on the right track." I decided to take it further. I kept a journal of the experiences, recording moments when I sensed alignment with my future self. I noted patterns, certain mental states that attracted synchronicity, moods that blocked connection, tiny rituals that strengthened my perception. Over weeks, a framework emerged, a method hidden in plain sight. By imagining, feeling, and acting as though my future reality already existed, I could collapse the distance between what I wanted and what I was living now. This discovery shattered my old assumptions. I no longer saw my desires as distant or unattainable. They were already present in a parallel thread of time, waiting for me to synchronize with them. The problem wasn't that the life I wanted was impossible, it was that I hadn't realized I had already created it elsewhere. The revelation was dizzying. It felt like stepping off solid ground and floating in midair, suspended between who I was and who I could already be. And in that space, I finally understood something essential: longing is not a deficit. It is a signal, a compass pointing toward the exact reality your soul has already claimed. This was more than a mindset shift. It was a paradigm shift, a bridge between spirituality and quantum physics, where desire is not about chasing, but about remembering. And as soon as I embraced it fully, I began seeing how ordinary life could reflect extraordinary possibilities, how subtle shifts in perception could manifest tangible, immediate change. The discovery wasn't just intellectual, it was alive, and it was personal. It revealed that the universe is not a distant system we try to control. It is a responsive field, waiting for our awareness to meet it, waiting for us to act as though our desires already exist, to live in resonance with the future that is, quite literally, ours. Now that the discovery was clear, the question became, how do you practically connect with your future self? How do you stop spinning in circles and start feeling that your desires are already real? I developed a method, a simple yet powerful sequence, that blends conscious awareness, emotional resonance, and quantum principles. Step 1, enter the future state. Find a quiet place. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. The goal is not just to imagine, but to embody the version of yourself that already has what you desire. Picture the life in vivid detail, not abstract ideas, but real, tactile sensations. What does your morning look like? How does your body feel when you wake up? What conversations occur naturally around you? Don't stop at visuals. Engage all senses, hear the subtle background sounds, notice the textures beneath your fingers, even inhale the imagined scents. Most people imagine superficially, you must live it in your mind fully, as if you are walking in the timeline where your desire already exists. Spend at least 5 minutes daily entering this future state. If your mind wanders, gently return. Each repetition strengthens the signal you are sending to the quantum field. Step 2, emotional resonance. Next, shift from imagination to emotion. Emotions are the quantum accelerators, they collapse potential into reality. Instead of hoping for something to happen, cultivate the feeling that it has already happened. Ask yourself, how would I feel if this were my life today? What gratitude would flood me naturally? What relief or excitement would I experience? Feel the joy, pride, satisfaction, and even small annoyances that come with that reality. Let your body vibrate in harmony with the future version of yourself. This step is crucial because quantum manifestation is driven less by thought and more by energy alignment. A practical exercise: place your hand over your heart, breathe slowly, and whisper to yourself, I am living this life now. I am here. I am ready. Repeat until the feeling becomes palpable, until it pulses like an internal drumbeat guiding your present actions. Step 3. Action as alignment. This step often surprises people. Manifestation is not passive. Quantum mechanics suggests that observation affects outcome. But in human terms, that observation must be backed by subtle action. Take at least one small step daily that reflects your future reality. For example, if your future self is confident, speak in ways that express confidence. If your future self owns a thriving business, take one tiny step toward it today, write a plan, connect with one resource, or learn a new skill. Actions don't have to be monumental, they must simply signal to your mind and universe that you are synchronized with the outcome you already possess. Step 4. Journaling the bridge. Write daily notes as if your future reality is happening now. Record small coincidences, new ideas, emotional breakthroughs, and patterns of synchronicity. Journaling becomes a bridge between perception and manifestation, helping you track alignment while reinforcing the reality of your future self. A sample exercise. Start with, today I am, and describe your future self life in the present tense. Add one feeling or sensation that stands out. Note one small action that reflects that reality. Step 5. Trust the invisible. Finally, release control over timing. The field of infinite possibilities is constantly shifting, and the universe responds to clarity and resonance, not panic. Trust that your future self is already influencing your present. Detach from desperate outcomes and stay rooted in the certainty of alignment. This method, entering the future state, feeling deeply, taking aligned action, journaling, and trusting the invisible, is a complete system. Each step amplifies the other, creating a feedback loop that accelerates manifestation. When practiced consistently, you start noticing subtle yet undeniable shifts, people respond differently, opportunities appear unexpectedly, and your own confidence rises because you are no longer imagining from lack, you are remembering from abundance. This isn't theory. It's a reproducible, structured method that blends quantum science and spiritual insight, a roadmap for anyone who wants to stop chasing and start inhabiting their future self today. The first time I fully committed to the method, I didn't notice a sudden explosion of change. There was no dramatic event, no miraculous lottery win. Instead, the transformation was subtle, almost imperceptible, like a seed slowly stretching towards sunlight. It began with mornings. Instead of dragging myself out of bed with dread, I felt anticipation. My mind, which had once been a battlefield of doubt and not yet, became a sanctuary of possibility. Even the simplest acts, brushing my teeth, pouring coffee, stepping outside, carried a sense of alignment, a quiet acknowledgement that I was already moving in the current of my future life. People around me noticed the change before I did. Friends commented on my energy, my presence. Colleagues responded differently to my ideas. Opportunities that previously seemed random or unreachable began to present themselves with timing that felt orchestrated. And I began seeing myself through a new lens, a version of me that was calm, confident, and unwavering because I was no longer chasing, I was inhabiting. The most striking moments came during challenges. Old obstacles that had once triggered anxiety now felt like signals, not barriers. When a project hit a snag, instead of panicking, I imagined my future self handling it with poise, and I responded from that state. Suddenly, solutions appeared effortlessly. What once took weeks of stressful trial and error could be solved in hours, simply because my vibration matched the outcome I desired. Emotionally, the shift was profound. The constant tension in my chest, the one that had been a near-constant companion, began to dissolve. It was replaced with a quiet joy, a feeling of being home in life even before all circumstances had changed. Gratitude became instinctive, not forced. I noticed the subtle pleasure in daily routines, the way sunlight hit the floor, the sound of laughter, the texture of paper under my fingertips. These weren't trivial details, they were signals that my consciousness had realigned. There was a particularly vivid moment that crystallized everything. One evening, sitting quietly with my eyes closed, I felt a wave of warmth pulse through my chest, a literal physical sensation of completion. I realized I was experiencing the reality I had been imagining, the desires, the clarity, the life I had longed for, all unfolding simultaneously in my present moment. Tears came unbidden. Not tears of frustration or longing, but tears of recognition. I understood deeply that I had been moving toward this state all along. Every struggle, every moment of doubt, every restless night had been preparing me to sync with my future self. The transformation wasn't external first, it was internal. My inner world had caught up with the reality that already existed. From that point on, I noticed that even small actions, sending an email, making a phone call, or simply smiling at a stranger, carried weight and intention. The world responded to me differently because my presence had changed. I wasn't asking for things anymore, I was living as though they were already mine, and the universe adjusted in kind. This transformation is not a one-time event. It is a continual evolution, a practice of remembering who you already are at a higher vibrational state. Each day reinforces the alignment, each action strengthens resonance, and each moment confirms that the life you want is not ahead of you, it has been waiting for your awareness to catch up. By the time I truly embodied this principle, life no longer felt like a struggle to achieve or acquire. It became a reflection of my consciousness, a canvas that responds to the energy I carry. And the most beautiful part? The transformation didn't just affect me. It rippled outward, influencing relationships, work, creativity, and even health. The world became a mirror for the version of me that I had always been destined to inhabit. Once I experienced this level of transformation, I realized it wasn't just about me. It was never meant to be. There's a larger purpose, a mission woven into the very fabric of consciousness, to help others reconnect with their own future selves. The practice of aligning with what is already theirs is not just a personal tool, it is a gift, a ripple that spreads far beyond individual desires. The mission is simple in words, but profound in essence, to remember that our reality is co-created, layered, and infinitely more powerful than we've been taught to believe. Each of us carries a frequency that resonates with future possibilities. When we inhabit that frequency fully, we don't just manifest for ourselves, we illuminate paths for others. The lives we want to create are intertwined with the lives around us, and by stepping into our own fulfillment, we offer permission, inspiration, and courage to others to do the same. I began to see this everywhere. A friend struggling with confidence suddenly received opportunities that mirrored my own breakthroughs. Strangers I barely knew began to mirror my energy, creating small synchronicities that reinforced the invisible threads connecting all of us. This wasn't magic in the naive sense, it was a quantum spiritual principle. Your consciousness shifts reality when it vibrates in alignment with your highest self. And that is the core of the mission, to live as proof that it is possible. To embody what you want so fully that your mere presence becomes a signal for others. It is a chain reaction, your alignment sparks recognition, and recognition sparks action. The world, often perceived as chaotic or random, becomes a responsive partner. Reflecting the highest potential of everyone willing to consciously participate. Practically, this mission can be cultivated through consistent practice. Daily alignment. Spend at least 5 to 10 minutes each day inhabiting your future self. Feel it, breathe it, live it. Ripple actions. Every action you take in alignment with your highest self, however small, resonates outward. Speak, create, serve, or express your gifts consciously. Awareness of interconnectedness. Recognize subtle synchronicities as signposts guiding not just your path, but potentially others. Notice when your state of being influences your environment positively. The transformation of our inner world leads to the manifestation of extraordinary outcomes. It is not a selfish act, it is an offering to existence itself. Every individual who aligns with their future self contributes to the elevation of collective consciousness, opening doors that previously seemed invisible. And here lies the most profound insight: the reason you have always wanted something so badly is because it already exists. Somewhere in the tapestry of reality, your future self has claimed it. The longing, the ache, the restless desire, it is not a lack. It is a signal, a quantum pointer saying, "Come closer. Step into your alignment. You already have it, now live it." So the mission becomes a call to action. Not to chase, not to struggle, not to wait for circumstances to prove you worthy. But to inhabit your future self fully, now, to walk as though your desires are already realized, and to let that vibration ripple into the world. The final step is simple yet radical: trust the invisible, act in resonance, and let your presence be the proof of what is possible. Every choice, every thought, every breath matters. Every alignment accelerates reality, not just for you, but for the world that responds to the energy you radiate. Your mission is not to create from scratch. It is to remember, embody, and radiate the reality that has always been yours. And when you do, you don't just transform your own life, you illuminate the path for countless others, sparking a chain reaction of awakening, alignment, and fulfillment. Right now, pause. Close your eyes. Feel your future self waiting for you. Sense the energy that has always been yours. Let the longing become recognition. Take a deep breath, and step fully into the reality that already exists. Act. Align. Embody. The universe isn't waiting, it is responding, right now, to the consciousness you bring. Your mission begins the moment you remember, you already have it in the future, now claim it in the present.